We're going to continue with a panel discussion now. So we all have speakers with a wealth of information and experience within the healthcare sector here to talk to you about their experience. And we'll be looking at integrating AI and innovative technology into existing workflows whilst balancing risk and opportunity effectively. And to facilitate the conversation, we have our own Monique here. So please welcome Monique and the rest of the panel.
Yeah, please. Let's go here all together. I'm stepping in for Adhari. Unfortunately, she's not here. And I'm stepping in at the very last moment, so apologies for... Yes, please sit in the order indicated above. It makes our lives easier. Now, my name is Monique van Lusíadas. I recently joined World Summit AI as one of the content directors. I've been at the main stage most of the day. I'm really curious, how many people here actually themselves work in health and have a health background? And how many people have more of an AI background, more of a technology background? Oh, that's a pretty good mix. How many practitioners right now are already using AI in their work? One? All right, people around you, go talk to those people later in the break. You want to learn from them. Now, we have a fantastic panel here. As I said, I was literally called here 5 minutes ago, so I'm going to read their names from my phone, which is very unelegant. But I'm very happy that they're here. And let me first tell you who is here. There we go. Milan base. You are over there. There you go. This is really the first time we need. Associate specialist, cardiothoracic surgeon in Bristol. I'm going to first call out all your names and then ask you briefly to introduce yourself. Sofia, Rocha, head of innovation. I can find you there for Lusíadas Saúde. Kiley, right at the end, president of Airia, and Ahmed Serag, really there. He's helping me out because he sent me the questions. There you go. And he's a professor and director of the AI Innovation Center at Weill Cornell Medicine. And then to my left, Dr. Ali Sanousi, and you are the executive director of clinical information systems at Hamad Medical Corporation. Now, to go from left to right, I really briefly want you to describe what you're doing right now and what is your job and how AI is changing that. Can I start with you? And see, you have to speak loudly because the guys behind us are loud as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. And it's always good to be among a smart crowd like yourself. Please enjoy the event. Make sure that you go around and learn from the speakers, the attendees, the exhibition. I always come to these conferences and learn something new and become smarter. So I would encourage you to connect and probably visit the state and have some sightseeing. I work at Hamad Medical Corporation. I'm the clinical lead for the digital transformation in healthcare. For the last 10 years or so, we have transformed the healthcare system in the state of Qatar with the digital electronic medical records. Now we have 16 hospitals and 31 private care centers are connected under one single instance electronic medical records. With that said, we have a state of readiness to use transformational AIs. Absolutely, absolutely. I also teach at Cornell. I'm an assistant professor. I teach course in clinical informatics, and this is my subspecialty. And I look forward for participation from all of you, and I wish you all the best for this event.
Okay, thank you so much. You have a lot of data, you have a lot of organizations involved, and you're actually leading the digital transformation there. Okay, we'll come back to exactly how AI is changing your work right now. can I move to the next speaker?
Thank you very much for having me. I'm Milan Bates. I work as a cardiothoracic surgeon, mainly cardiac surgeon in Bristol in UK, in NHS, which is, after COVID we reduced some activity, but before that we used to operate on nearly 1,600 patients. So I was practicing surgeon, and my passion was always in the mathematics, physics, and IT. And due to that and my interest, I think I'm bridging that gap in between, no offend anybody, geeks and people who are so clever, who produce all of those things, and the clinical practitioners who understand the environment where the hospital and patients are. So I have been also involved in regulating with British Standard Institute, ISO and IEC for the work groups 5 and 9, and now lately I'm in AI regulation with ISO and IEC electric committee. So the things which are really interesting in all of those is that how the machine learning or large language models impact lives of the patients and outcomes, and how the staff interacts with it, why the IT is lagging behind implementing this, what their explanation is for that. And a colleague from Cambridge explained that beautifully, looking from a different perspective, how the robotic, or IE in this case, impact our ability to work. We are finding it, especially junior doctors are finding it extremely cumbersome and slowing their job because it's not yet there. So electronic medical record, prescribing, all of those things, until you get into it, it's really taking a long time. And then if you make one mistake, somebody after half an hour, you need to go log again to look, did you make a mistake? So there are a lot of things which needs to be worked through it, but in a humanly way. And humanly way means that we are all here to serve the patients and to give them a good outcome. Unless that outcome is achieved, AI would become irrelevant, because it's not how much I am as a surgeon satisfied with AI, but rather how much technology gives me ability to deliver good care. And I think Dr. Ali can vouch for that. It is all in that subtle differences and nuances of talking to the patient, and if the patient has some rare disease, you not Googling or whatever it, but you actually having a knowledge graph and seeing what the impact that has on that patient.
That's a very good point, and let's continue to the next speaker, because you are on the patient side, right?
I'm on the human side.
Yeah, you are on the human side, but if you go to Sofia, you're head of innovation and head of virtual client. Can you explain what you are doing?
Sure. So by education, I'm also a medical doctor. I keep on doing clinical practice as well in the extra time, which is working a lot, but very gladly. So what I do, I actually go, my position is not a clinical position, so I go from the technology to the implementation. So I always focus on the benefit as well, so it's not technology per se, because it doesn't make sense. We also have a lab where we test things just to know how do they work and what is the potential to help and to impact. We have 14 hospitals and 32 clinics, so that's our ecosystem in the sense that we are trying to, sometimes we just use some of them to use it and to scale up. We work with a multidisciplinary team, by far, of course, IT, cybersecurity, data protection, clinicians, and also management team. And by training, I was lucky enough to go through the places where I think that I could absorb the best. So I was trained in robotics and in AI in the MIT, then I did clinical research for Harvard. And then when we cocktailed it to our reality, it allows us to go from real training to development, which is something that is sometimes hard. So we co-create a lot with the partners. I think the knowledge is in the clinicians and the patients, and the technology needs to go with it. On the other hand, in the clinical part, I work with longevity, so what I do is actually use all the environmental biome and how technology is pushing that to a reality, data-driven decision-making process, which is also probably a place that is going to be really disruptive in the next few years.
This is really, really big space. I'm super impressed, by the way, that this is especially in the health sector, that many of you keep practicing and are at the same time developing. And probably that's a very good combination, because you can really find out what works and what doesn't work. But they are two very different specialties, right? Let's go to our next speaker, Kevin Kiley, President of Airia. Tell us a little bit more what you do there.
Thank you. Well, for those of you that weren't here for my talk a little while ago, Airia is an AI management orchestration platform very focused on healthcare settings and use cases. I am somewhat of a serial entrepreneur. This is the third company I've been part of building. The first one was in mobile devices 10, 15 years ago when those exploded, and a lot of new capabilities, particularly in healthcare, which is where we saw so much application and ability to really impact the way materials are provided. That company grew very quickly. We sold it off and then built a second company that also grew at a pace that was still to this day a record for many enterprise startups, if you will. I mentioned that before and now just because the company we're building today, Airia, we see already more traction in the way that we are just exploding right now, supporting healthcare customers around the world and their ability to go innovate and really apply AI to some novel use cases, and most importantly, improving the quality and the volume of care that they're able to provide. So, a very interesting space. Again, my perspective around the panel is really that of the startup coming in and trying to help enable technology in the way care is being provided.
But we're coming back to integrating AI into existing practices, but that's what you are doing is basically speeding it up, so helping medical people to work faster.
Faster, more safely, more efficiently.
It's not completely different, it's at the moment still efficiencies in the present system. Okay, very good. And then, last but not least, of course, our speaker over there, Ahmed, Professor and Director of the AI Innovation Center at Weill Medicine. Also, Doctor.
Pleasure to be here. So I can really see a connection between what we're doing and how we collaborate with each member of the panel. So in brief, I'm a computer scientist by background. As I always say, probably was fortunate enough that I started to work in AI before it had the term AI. I think at that time it had probably other names like pattern recognition. And I was fortunate that actually my master's thesis was on that. Over the past 20 years, I really have been focusing on building and commercializing AI solutions for healthcare and medicine across academia and industry. I've done great work with other colleagues at Philips and Novartis, the pharmaceutical company. And I moved a year and a half ago here at Weill Cornell Medicine. For people who are not familiar with Weill Cornell, it was established in 2001 as a partnership between Qatar Foundation and Cornell University in New York, basically committing for excellence in teaching, research, and pushing innovation in healthcare. So I established, in addition to my research faculty position, the AI Innovation Lab, which is 1.5 years old now. Some of the lab members are actually here within the audience who have been really working on great stuff that I'm hoping to see the light soon. We're a technical team, so we're really focused on building this technical solution in collaboration with like Dr. Ali and Hamad, for example, Medical Corporate and Cedar Medicine, but also we're collaborating globally with other healthcare providers. Our aim is very simple, is really you can summarize it into improving people's lives, either through like optimizing diagnostics or operational efficiency, reducing workload. As we're technical, we really deal with probably all aspects of medical data. You could imagine imaging, electronic medical records, but also we started to see there's a huge shift in focus into the integration of multimodal data. And this is really what we're trying to push into our common work. And I'm glad that we're actually doing this with a great team of talent that most of them are actually local, and this is coming from here, from Qatar.
And if you talk about multimodal data, it's measurements you take from a patient, it's pictures, it's what kind of data can you now pull into a model?
basically whatever you have access to, I mean, probably will come this into our discussion, but there's always like restriction, difficulty in accessing data, right? But we started, for example, we have some solution that we developed for language vision, where you can generate automatically now the medical reports for radiology or pathology, for example. But if we have access to the patient history, if we have access to also data or signals from wearable devices, you can name it. It's not a matter actually of the techniques, because I think they're there. It's a matter of really having access to these data.
Okay, so the access is really big. Now, we have some very specific questions for each one of you. I'll put them up here. And I think the first one is for Dr. Moderator. As a cardiothoracic surgeon, can you share examples from your practice on AI already transforming surgical decision making? What is really changing now your decision making because you have AI?
I will tell you the example which is not as much as sophisticated as you expected. We done process mining. What we done it, we took the patients, their time stamps, where they move in a hospital for cardiac surgery from admission, wards, preoperative assessment, chest x-rays, they go then prep, they go in anesthetic room, surgery, knife to the skin, and they go out, etc., etc. In ITU, 8.4% of them will come back for various reasons, readmitted in hospital, 1.2% will bleed, they will come back, etc., etc. So we analyzed that utilizing Fluxicon, doesn't matter. We used that from them, and they were very helpful, and Rosenthal. And interestingly, actually, you will be all going to be shocked. The largest bottleneck was the time taking patient from the theater into the ITU, because we didn't have a porter. So what we did, we waited averagely over 20 minutes for that. And you know, if you have 8 people standing in hospital waiting for 20 minutes in the anesthetic with the patient anesthetized, you need to warm it, you need to pay them, blah, blah, all sorts of things. Empty bed is waiting. Hence, we now position a porter to sit in front of each theater. So that's a little human change, thanks to understanding.
And it's super effective.
It's super effective, actually. And you will be shocked. Say that very few number of beds generate 30% of turnover in hospital, which are called day units. And the largest problem in a day unit in between patients is cleaning the bed.
Which is so simple.
So it is so simple.
Yeah.
So you have the more sophisticated things actually helping you to understand
The very
basic human approach to it. And it's just fascinating. I was shocked. And if you ask me, was it very hard to do this process mining? Yes, it was, because in hospital everything is in silos. And we needed to manually take the data out. And then manually we need to put that time scale and all these sort of things. But at the end it's paid off, you know.
But I think this is because in every room today and tomorrow you'll have fantastic use cases for AI, and then you have to realize that big corporations, government, health, they have systems, and these systems have existed for a reason for a long time. And what AI can do is just rethink all the systems suddenly.
Yes,
that's one of the things.
I also believe that we are missing the point, and not missing a point. As secondary and tertiary healthcare is so expensive, just to maintain one bed in hospital is over $1 million. A single bed. I mean, well, why you need a patient to come to the hospital? You have to use all available tools to prevent them coming to the hospital.
I think
so that's the greatest future of AI it is. And the greatest future of AI would not be mobile phone as such, but a mobile phone as a transmitter of the wearables. And the wearables will be IoT in your house, which they try to do it. They build these houses where the people live, they have all of these sensors, and it didn't work.
Well, let's
Because they build technologically, not humanly.
Yeah. And I think you see some building on the other side where Apple is trying to become a health company in a sense, because they're already there, and then you add the health. But Sofia, with your background in robotics and all the other things, what do you see happening?
I was talking a lot while we were talking because it's
Yes,
very interesting. Because one of the things is that we are all trying to implement new metrics and new ways to cut those silos, but the silos of data are 20 years old or 30 years old. So our health records are exactly super old versions. Exactly. On the other hand, probably this would not be my talking 3 years ago. So today, we are already building new ways of the architecture so that we build middleware on the top to extract data in structured ways or unstructured ways intentionally, so that then we can implement those type of intelligence on the top. Because most of the times, and I was knocking, because it's normally where we save money, we improve quality, we expand capacities in places that we are not looking at, like for instance the portals. So it's like a very basic but a huge impact thing.
Explosion will be in the primary care, where the AI is going to make the hugest impact will be the primary care. Hospitals, yeah, it will have enormous effect, but on very small number of people, which are treated very expensive aims.
Yeah.
So the governments will be forced to shift that, because it's unsustainable to spend more than 10-15% of GDP on health. It's just unsustainable. They can't afford that.
And Sofia, in your experience, what are the things you find that are most effective in this?
So one of the things that we've been implementing is actually what you're saying, which is to turn the houses more intelligent, or that normal daily basis tools. That's why when I was talking, I was saying that I didn't want to have this IoT, because the idea is really to have an IoT. So to have your normal tools, I'm gonna go further, like your pen, your mirror, your car, your fridge, everything to be intelligent enough to give information that allows us to take the patient out of and very far away from hospitals. Even if we work with hospitals nowadays, we can switch the type of system and actually capitalize on the benefit of having the patients out and having the patients in this wellness and health system and not in a disease care system, which is the secondary and tertiary hospitals, because that's how we normally see it. And the thing is, one of the hardest parts is to play between capacity and privacy. And that's the thing that we need to talk more and more and more again. Because when technically we can apply the technology, technically we can collect data, technically we can make it adaptable to each person's habits, because we also know that most of the times this fails because we want one size fits all, and it doesn't happen that way. But we still have a thing. Some people do not want to share that data this way. Some other people are afraid that this data goes to insurance companies or to other entities that can, in the near future, impact their lives as well, or the capacity to take decisions. So we really need to be very careful in this curation of data and curation of the cycle of data. Because we are sure that this is going to benefit, yes. In a nationalized version, I think it's easier to implement than just in an ecosystem that is, for instance, I'm from the private sector, we work in specific ecosystems, we implemented this type of initiatives, for instance, in health, in heart failure. Exactly, in very specific contexts. For instance, heart failure patients that were open to be testing users, pioneers in this, and it was super interesting. We are using pacemakers and also other tools so that we have information before something happens.
Okay, but I'm really apologetic. I'm aware of the time ticking away.
But this is interesting.
I know,
mentioned
it's
heart
super interesting,
failure,
yeah.
the most effective treatment of the heart failure is exercise.
But I want to move to Ahmed Serag now, because you are working on, and then, Ahmed, what is the most effective thing you are working on? What is this part of AI and health where you think like, it's possible, it's not impossible? We're going to do this quite soon.
It's difficult to say until they're published, but I also like to say they're all my towns, right? We're really working on lots of innovative solutions now. But if I would pick again a brief example of each of the stuff that we're working on, for example, we recently received a grant from QRDI here with collaboration with Professor Hamad, where we're using Cornell confocal microscopy images where we can diagnose a large number of disease. And this is in the works now, but we have been doing this in a very effective way that the accuracy is outstanding. You can just from these, which is non-invasive technique, gets like accuracy of almost perfect, right? And this is really huge. If we think about probably what most of the audience is familiar with now, the language models, we started to now build the algorithm, for example, for the prediction of readmission to the ICU unit, which is probably the most expensive unit in the hospital, right? And this has really put a huge pressure on the healthcare system, right? And to some point that have been raised now, but also if we plan well, this managed to probably like give the patients probably the right treatment at the right time and have the best utilization of the system. And to do that, we actually train the models using electronic health records, including the patient history, age, treatment they have taken. And also this has been providing very good accuracy. Back to the integration of the multimodal data, we started to explore and actually got an award with 2 team members last month in a very prestigious competition for building this automatic report generation for CT images. And now we can basically, I'm going to show them in this in my talk after lunch, but you can really see that you can put a CT scan and just put a brief question, and automatically the model will give you what's in there and what the diagnosis is. And this is pretty amazing. And if you think about how this on a very high level will integrate, we wouldn't be saying, again, as we used to say like a few years back, we'll be replacing professionals, either radiologists or pathologists, but probably we'll be reducing the workloads, probably giving them more opportunity to focus on other tasks. I wouldn't say more important, but I would say as important.
Yes, it's interesting that you observe that you can predict much better what is needed, you can diagnose much faster, which for the patients, it's very good to have the diagnosis faster, but the predictions are maybe not always so well in mind of patients, right? You can also predict more and more what will happen with the patient, which might be good. But let's move to Professor Alzaabi. What do you think the healthcare people here should do?
Yeah, so AI comes with a hope for humanity, and this will be across all sectors. So in healthcare industry, still most of the hospitals and private care centers in the region, probably worldwide, are lacking and behind in terms of utilization of information technology. So in this region, the GCC, but particularly in the state of Qatar, we were fortunate to have a quite ambitious longitudinal enterprise program that yielded into an advanced electronic medical records in place that is connected to several organizations, including Central Medicine and other local and specialty centers. And this actually have built-in data analytics tools and softwares. With that said, I believe AI is coming so fast, like a train, in an unprecedented way. And oftentimes we jump to developing apps. However, I think similar to so many organizations, the governance, having governance in place for data privacy, confidentiality, and the how do you strategize the handling sensitive data of patients. I think this is the first factor that should be kept in mind. However, having said that, most organizations they have thought that they would do one governance or policy in place and not to be updated. I think with the speed of the AI models, I think this needs to be reviewed and updated periodically. The second thing is to change the mindset the mindset for human or for people, especially in healthcare, they need to be ready for this. So the state of readiness, this is something that need to be factored in the program or the strategy. Oftentimes, resistance to change is one of the key barriers to adopting AI. All in all, I'll give one example, and we are connected with the Cornell and others. I'll give one example about how this would be effective. I mean, in addition to the diagnostics, the therapeutics that we can talk more about, but connecting our patients to their data. So to date, hospitals believe that they are the owners of the patient data, but this is not the. This is actually it's something that got to change. So hospitals should be the custodian of data, but patients should own the data. With the data-driven and the data-centric approach, I believe giving access to patients to their personal health record, this is would be a priority. If I ask the audience here, with the raise of hand, who has access to their bank account? Everybody. Okay. Who have access to their personal health record? A couple. And this is, by the way, always I've asked this question in so many conferences, and it's less than 2%. Now, isn't that weird? How come we have access to our financial terms and the bank accounts and other accounts, like even our automobile and extra, but we have...
I'm really sorry to have to interrupt you. We're almost out of time. I'm going to ask Kevin a little bit about this as well, because he hasn't had a special question. Let's wrap this up for all of us, but one of the things I think that is conclusion is things are speeding up, can be more efficient. It's the health sector, so some things are slow because they're ingrained in processes, and innovators will say that's slow, but other people will say that's because you need a trusted source, and these processes are there for a reason very often, although they can be thought. But some of these can also move outside of existing health organizations, hospital networks. AI will maybe make happen that people that don't have access to healthcare can get diagnosis and healthcare and better ideas. I don't know if you want to wrap this up, Kevin, and then we'll do a quick round with everybody. You've been 1 extra minute. It was 5 for a second ago, it's not 1. So.
All right, I'll be very brief. Look, I'm really optimistic about where things are headed, and I do feel like, without overstating it, this is going to be such a period of change for the way that, again, care is provided and the way that it impacts all of us, our children, our parents, generations that will follow, everyone will see some impact because there's going to be so many new capabilities that come online, and the power of the way medicine will be delivered and care will be provided is going to substantially change just in the next few years, I think. And again, I may be overstating things a bit, but I think a lot is going to happen very, very quickly.
Well, I think I can't see my. We have to stop, right? Just.
Run back.
Oh, we have minutes back. We can have a few. Luckily enough, who has the oh, there's one over there. Let's go. The gentleman here with the grey jacket. Is the first one? All right, please.
Thank you so much for the panel. Steve's expertise. I'm a clinician, emergency medicine background with pivot into digital health. I know we have esteemed clinicians on, like Dr. Ali and Sofia, Dr. Milan. What do you see the role of the clinician champion in helping and bringing in these workflows? Because, like you mentioned, Dr. Ali, we tend to see a resistance to change, but I think it's a mindset change because clinicians are advocates for their patients, and sometimes they see technology as a barrier instead of something that facilitates. So how do you feel we can change that for clinicians as a whole? Thank you.
I think this is quite interesting. So adoption is the key, and I've dealt with clinical and digital transformation for a decade, and I think to be successful you need to have an excellent rate of adoption. So in terms of the way that AI is presented across industry and sectors, it's a tool or a technology that will replace people, and this is actually it's heartbreaking. Whenever I hear these statements, I feel that this is something that needs to be ideologically changed. So, I love the quote from Harvard Business Review, which says, quote, AI won't replace humans. AI will replace humans without AI, with human with AI, end of quote. So with that mindset, I believe what we can do, especially in the specialties that has been heavily infiltrated with the AI experimentation, for instance, radiology. So now radiologists are keen to develop more algorithm and LLMs that actually solves the nature of the diagnosis for X-rays, CT scans, etc. So the hope actually to reach to 99.996 accuracy, which is highly specific and highly sensitive in terms of the data collection. This will bring us to a better diagnosis. So we need more of the AI powered tools that is handled by radiologists who knows a great deal about AI. For what? To prevent a disease predicted by an AI model in diagnostics early on, and we set all the measures for that disease not to happen. I think if we reach this, I think this is a big success in medicine. And we have a lot of examples in therapeutics and in personalized medicine and decision support system. There's so many other examples.
Rajesh, surgeons. Great panel discussion. Enjoy learning your insights. I just have two questions. One is really, when we want to get people to engage with these technology tools, should we go for high volume, low risk solutions to solve my AI, or we should go for low volume, high risk to show the impact to the organization? That's the first thing. Second thing is really data ownership. Now, my patients, when we recently included for a clinical trial, they wanted to pay for their data. Now, what does the panel think about patients' data being used? I mean, they want to be paid. So, you can listen to your comments.
Want to be paid? Oh, that's an interesting one. We have one with 60 seconds left here. So, who wants to give a one-sentence answer to one of these questions? Yes, go ahead.
The second one is we discussed that a lot. I think it's more than fair to be paid. Actually, we are now with the European Health Data Space is being told that we are in the future, the aim is to be able to say if I want to share, like an opt-in or an opt-out, probably it's going to be an opt-out version, but I can say that I don't want to be part of. And then now there are a lot of curators or aggregators, startups that are playing this so that we can add our data and say if I want to participate in a clinical trial or not. And if yes, if it's something that I'm donating because I'm willing to help, or if it's something that I want to receive back. And personally, I think it's more than fair.
All right. I'm really sorry, but we have to break it up. This is my cue I get, right? Oh. So thank you so much. Yes, you will break it up. That's it.
Thank you so much for this. That was truly incredible, and I'm so sorry that we don't have like hours to talk about this. I'm sure everyone would have continued. This was a great panel, and this is also the end of the first session today.